Chapter 1. Hook, the Eternal Question. There's a moment in every Tom and Jerry episode. You know the one. Tom's got the perfect plan. The timing is flawless, the trap is set, Jerry's cornered, and for just a second, maybe half a second, you think, this is it, he's actually going to win. And then he doesn't. The anvil falls on him. The dynamite explodes in his face. Jerry slips away with that smug little grin, and Tom is left broken, burned, flattened into a pancake on the floor. Every single time. Now here's what's strange. We've all been watching this show for decades. Some of you grew up with it. Some of you show it to your kids now. And we know Tom will lose. We've seen it 1,000 times. The outcome is never in doubt. So why do we keep watching? Better question. Why does it hurt? We've all rooted for Tom just once, haven't we? We've all thought, come on man, just this one time. We've felt that weird ache when he gets obliterated for the 100th time, when all he wanted was to catch one tiny mouse. And here's the thing that nobody talks about. Tom isn't stupid. Watch the episodes closely. His plans are actually brilliant. He builds complex Rube Goldberg machines. He studies Jerry's patterns. He adapts, he learns, he evolves. In any other universe, Tom would be the hero, the persistent underdog who never gives up despite constant failure. But this isn't any other universe. This is Tom and Jerry. And in this universe, Tom is designed to fail. Not because he's incompetent, not because Jerry is impossibly superior, but because of something much deeper, much darker, and once you see it, impossible to unsee. By the end of this video, you'll understand why Tom's failure isn't a bug in the story. It's the entire point. And you'll never watch this cartoon the same way again. Because here's what I discovered. Tom and Jerry isn't just a kid's show about a cat and mouse. It's one of the most perfect representations of existential philosophy ever created. It's about the human condition. It's about meaning and meaninglessness. It's about why we keep trying even when we know we'll fail. Tom is all of us. Think about it. How many times have you worked towards something? Really worked, knowing deep down it might not happen? How many times have you been the person chasing something just out of reach? A job, a relationship, a dream, a goal that keeps slipping through your fingers no matter how hard you grip. You're Tom. I'm Tom. We've all been Tom at some point. And Jerry? Jerry's everything we're chasing. The thing that's always one step ahead. The success that feels so close you can almost taste it, but vanishes the moment you reach for it. Here's the scene I want you to picture. Season 3, episode 47. The mouse comes to dinner. Tom has Jerry trapped in a tiny mouse hole. He's got a rifle. He's got patience. He's got strategy. The camera zooms in on Tom's face and you can see it. The focus, the determination, the hope. This is his moment. Jerry pops out, grabs a nearby champagne bottle, and smashes it over Tom's head. Tom crumples. Jerry walks away. End scene. 40 seconds of setup, 3 seconds of failure. That's the formula. That's always been the formula. And somewhere in your brain, watching that moment, something clicked. Something uncomfortable. Because it wasn't just funny, it was familiar. The philosopher Albert Camus wrote about a Greek king named Sisyphus, who was condemned by the gods to roll a boulder up a mountain for all eternity. Every time he reached the top, the boulder would roll back down, and he'd have to start over, forever. Camus called this the perfect metaphor for human existence. We push. The boulder rolls back. We push again. That's life. But here's Camus's twist, and it's where this whole thing gets interesting. Sisyphus is happy, or at least he should be. Because the struggle itself, the pushing, the trying, the refusal to quit, even though the outcome is predetermined, that's where meaning lives. Not in winning, in trying. Tom is Sisyphus, Jerry is the boulder, and every episode is the same eternal loop. But unlike Sisyphus, Tom doesn't know he's in a loop. He genuinely believes every single time that this plan will work. This trap will succeed. This time will be different. It never is. And that's not a tragedy. That's the whole beautiful, absurd point. So let's go deeper. Let's talk about why Tom can't win. Why the universe, no, the narrative, won't allow it. Let's talk about existentialism, about David and Goliath, about the philosophy of failure and what it means to keep fighting a fight you'll never win. Because once you see what's really happening in Tom and Jerry, you'll realize it's not about a cat and a mouse. It's about you. It's about me. It's about all of us pushing our boulders up the mountain. Let's begin. If you enjoy calm storytelling like this, I've added a free Audible trial in the description, only if it helps you relax. Chapter 2, The Setup, Understanding the Game. Before we dive into the philosophy, let's get our facts straight. Because Tom and Jerry isn't just some random cartoon that stumbled into cultural immortality. It was designed, crafted, and executed by two men who understood something fundamental about comedy, conflict, and human nature. William Hanna and Joseph Barbera created Tom and Jerry in 1940 for MGM. They were animators at the height of Hollywood's golden age, competing against Disney and Warner Brothers for audience attention. They needed something simple, something visual, something that transcended language barriers. So they gave us the oldest conflict in the book, predator versus prey, cat versus mouse, hunter versus hunted. The show won 7 Academy Awards. 7. More than any other animated series in the same category. But here's the thing nobody mentions. Those awards weren't for the animation. They were for something else entirely. Something Hanna and Barbera understood instinctively but never said out loud. Watch what happens next. In nature, the cat wins. The cat is bigger, faster, stronger. The mouse is prey. The mouse dies. That's how the food chain works. That's reality. Tom and Jerry doesn't just bend that reality, it shatters it. Jerry isn't surviving, he's dominating. Tom isn't just failing to catch Jerry, he's being systematically destroyed by him. Crushed, burned, electrocuted, exploded, dropped from buildings, run over by trains. The cat, the predator, the one with all the physical advantages, is the victim. And we laugh. You didn't know this when you were 6 years old, sitting 2 feet from the TV screen, but you felt it. You felt that weird satisfaction when Jerry won, that strange justice. Because even as a kid, you understood what Tom represented: power, size, strength, authority, the bully, the system, the thing that's bigger than you and doesn't care. Jerry is everyone who's ever been small, ever been underestimated, ever been told they couldn't win because the odds were stacked against them. That's why this show has survived 80 years. That's why it's been translated into dozens of languages. That's why kids in Japan, Brazil, Egypt, and Norway all root for the same tiny mouse. It's not about a cat and mouse. It never was. It's about you versus the thing that's trying to crush you. But here's where it gets darker. Here's the part that should disturb you. Tom never stops trying. There is no final episode where Tom catches Jerry and the credits roll. There is no conclusion where Tom gives up, realizes the futility, and walks away. There is only the eternal chase. Tomorrow's episode, next week's trap. The same cycle, forever. The boulder always rolls back down the mountain. And that's not a cartoon trope. That's not lazy writing. That's the most honest depiction of human existence ever put on screen. This is existentialism wearing a cat costume. This is absurdism hidden inside slapstick comedy. This is Albert Camus' philosophy smuggled into your childhood, and you never even noticed. So let's talk about Sisyphus. Let's talk about why Tom's eternal failure isn't tragedy, it's truth. Chapter 3, The Philosophy of Failure, Sisyphus and the Absurd. In 1942, a French-Algerian philosopher named Albert Camus published an essay called The Myth of Sisyphus. It opens with one of the most famous sentences in philosophy. There is only one really serious philosophical question, and that is suicide. Not exactly light reading. But stay with me, because what Camus wrote in that essay is the key to understanding everything about Tom and Jerry. Everything about why Tom fails. Everything about why we keep watching. Everything about why this matters. Camus tells the story of Sisyphus, a king from Greek mythology who pissed off the gods. His punishment? He was condemned to push a boulder up a mountain. When he reached the top, the boulder would roll back down. He'd walk back down, put his hands on the rock, and push it up again. Forever. No escape, no end. No point. Just the rock, the mountain, the push, the fall. Repeat. Camus looked at this myth and said, this is us. This is human existence in a nutshell. We wake up, we go to work. We come home, we sleep, we wake up. We do it again. We chase goals, we achieve them. We set new goals, we chase those. We build things. They fall apart, we build them again. We push the boulder up the mountain and it rolls back down. And here's the question that haunted Camus. If life is just endless repetition with no ultimate meaning, why don't we all just quit? Why keep pushing? Why keep trying? Why not just stop? This is what Camus called the absurd. The collision between human beings who desperately crave meaning, purpose, and answers, and a universe that is cold, silent, and indifferent. We ask why, and the universe says nothing back. We want our struggles to mean something. We want the boulder to stay at the top. We want permanence, progress, purpose. The universe doesn't care. That's the absurd. That's the human condition. And that's Tom. Every single episode, Tom wakes up with purpose. He's hungry. He sees Jerry. He makes a plan. The plan is detailed, creative, often ingenious. He executes it, and it fails. Next episode, same thing. Tom is Sisyphus with fur. The boulder is Jerry. The mountain is the house, the backyard, the kitchen, wherever the chase happens. And the gods who designed this torture, that's Hanna-Barbera, the writers, the animators, the narrative itself. Tom is designed to push. Jerry is designed to roll back down. Now here's where Camus gets interesting, because he doesn't say Sisyphus's life is meaningless. He doesn't say we should give up. He says something much stranger, much more beautiful. One must imagine Sisyphus happy. Happy. Not content. Not satisfied. Not resigned. Happy. How? How can someone condemned to eternal, pointless repetition be happy? Because Camus argues the struggle itself is enough. The pushing is the point. Sisyphus's life has meaning not in spite of the absurdity, but because of it. He finds freedom in accepting the absurd. He finds joy in the revolt, in refusing to stop even though stopping would make perfect sense. Every time Sisyphus walks back down that mountain to push the rock again, he's saying to the gods, "You can make me push this boulder forever, but you can't make me despair. You can't make me quit. I choose to push." That's the rebellion. That's the freedom. That's the happiness. Now look at Tom. Episode after episode, year after year, decade after decade, Tom gets destroyed, flattened, humiliated, burned alive. And what does he do? He gets back up. Next episode, he's back. New plan. Same hope, same determination. The anvil that crushed him last week is irrelevant. The explosion that vaporized him yesterday is forgotten. Tom doesn't remember his failures because Tom doesn't live in the past. Tom lives in the push. He's not happy because he's catching Jerry. He's happy, or at least he's alive, because he's trying to catch Jerry. The chase is the point. The effort is the meaning. You see it in his face sometimes. Those brief moments before the trap springs, before the plan collapses. Tom's eyes light up. There's excitement there, hope, purpose. He's not thinking about the 1,000 times this didn't work. He's thinking, this time, it works. And when it doesn't, when the dynamite explodes in his face and his whiskers are smoking and his fur is charred black, he shakes it off, and he tries again. That's not stupidity. That's not denial. That's existential rebellion. Tom is rebelling against the universe that designed him to fail. He's rebelling against the narrative that says he's the villain, the loser, the fool. He's rebelling against the futility of his own existence by refusing to accept it. Every scheme is Tom saying, I don't care what happened yesterday. Today's different. Today I win. He never does. But that's not the point. The point is that he tries. The point is that he doesn't quit. The point is that somewhere in that eternal loop of failure, Tom found something that Sisyphus found. The absurd doesn't have to break you. It can free you. One must imagine Sisyphus happy. One must imagine Tom happy. Not because he catches Jerry, but because he never stops trying. Chapter 4. Why Tom Can't Win. The Existential Trap. But let's be honest for a second. You're probably thinking, okay, cool philosophy and all, but come on. Tom loses because he's bad at this. He's clumsy, he's overconfident, he makes stupid mistakes. Fair point. Let's test it. Go back and watch the episodes. Really watch them. Pay attention to Tom's plans. In Mouse Trouble, Tom buys a book called How to Catch a Mouse. He follows the instructions exactly. He uses cheese as bait, sets the trap according to the diagram, waits in position. The plan is textbook. It should work. It doesn't. Jerry turns the trap against him. Tom gets caught in his own contraption. In The Yankee Doodle Mouse, Tom builds an elaborate series of booby traps using military-grade explosives, tripwires, and perfectly calculated trajectories. We're talking engineering precision here. This isn't slapstick stupidity. This is strategy. Jerry wins anyway. In Catfishin', Tom outsmarts Jerry. Actually outsmarts him. Gets him cornered. Has him beat. Victory is 1 second away, and then Spike the Bulldog shows up, or Tom slips on a banana peel. Or the universe intervenes in some other arbitrary way and snatches defeat from the jaws of victory. Here's what you need to understand. Tom doesn't lose because he's incompetent. Tom loses because the game is rigged. And this is where the existential trap reveals itself. Tom is fighting for satisfaction. Jerry is fighting for survival. Read that again. Because that asymmetry, that difference in stakes, is everything. When Tom chases Jerry, he's hungry. Maybe he's annoyed. Maybe his pride is wounded. But Tom has options. There's food in the house. There's a bowl with his name on it. If Tom gives up the chase, he doesn't starve. He doesn't die. He just moves on. Jerry doesn't have that luxury. When Tom chases Jerry, Jerry is running for his life. Every chase is life or death. Every trap is an execution device. Every scheme Tom builds is designed to kill him. Jerry can't afford to be caught even once. One mistake and he's done. So who do you think is going to fight harder? Who's going to be more creative? More desperate? More willing to do anything to win? The one who wants dinner or the one who wants to live? That's the trap. That's why Tom can't win. Because desperation creates genius. Fear sharpens the mind. When your life is on the line, you find solutions you didn't know existed. You pull miracles out of thin air because the alternative is death. Tom is comfortable. Tom is safe. Tom has the luxury of failure. Jerry doesn't. And here's where it gets psychologically interesting, where animal instinct meets narrative design. In the real world, predators are efficient. A lion doesn't chase the same gazelle for 3 hours. A cat doesn't design elaborate traps for a mouse. They strike, they succeed or fail quickly, and they move on. Energy conservation is survival. But Tom is obsessed. He'll spend an entire day building a Rube Goldberg death machine for one mouse. He'll risk injury, humiliation, and destruction for a target that provides almost no caloric reward. Why? Because Tom isn't operating on animal logic. He's operating on narrative logic. The story needs Tom to be obsessed. The plot requires him to escalate. The formula demands that he keep trying despite overwhelming evidence that he should quit. And this is the meta-truth we need to acknowledge. Tom can't win, not because of who he is, but because of what he is. He's a character in a story where his victory would mean the end of that story. From a pure narrative economic standpoint, Tom's failure is the product being sold. We don't tune in to see Tom succeed. We tune in to see how he'll fail this time. His defeat is the entertainment. His humiliation is the punchline. Tom is trapped in a narrative contract he never signed. He pushes the boulder because the gods demand it. He chases Jerry because the audience expects it. He fails because success would break the machine that gives him existence. It's not that Tom knows this on any conscious level. He's not sitting there having an existential crisis about narrative structure. But the writers know it. The audience knows it, and we all participate in this collective agreement. Tom must lose so the show can continue. That's the trap. Not stupidity, not bad luck. Design. Tom is cursed with eternal effort and eternal failure, not by his own limitations, but by the very structure of the story he's trapped in. And once you see that, you can't unsee it. Every episode becomes a tragedy. Every plan becomes futile before it even starts. Every moment of hope becomes heartbreaking because you know, it's already over. Tom never had a chance. The game was rigged from the beginning. Chapter 5. The Design of Perpetual Defeat. Let's talk about something uncomfortable. What would actually happen if Tom won? Picture it. Tom finally catches Jerry. The trap works. The plan succeeds. Jerry is cornered, captured, defeated. Tom stands there, victorious, holding the mouse in his paw. Now what? Does Tom eat Jerry? Does the screen fade to black? Do we hear crunching sounds while the credits roll? No, because the moment Tom wins, the show becomes a horror story. This is the narrative paradox that Hanna-Barbera understood instinctively. Tom's victory is Jerry's death. And Jerry's death means we've been watching a murder attempt for the last 7 minutes. Suddenly, this isn't a cartoon. It's a snuff film. The audience can't handle that. Kids definitely can't handle that. So the writers made a choice. A brilliant, brutal choice. Tom must never win because his victory would destroy the illusion that this is all just harmless fun. Tom's failure isn't a bug. It's a moral safeguard. Think about the psychology here. We laugh at Tom getting hurt because Tom is the aggressor. He's bigger. He's stronger. He initiated the violence. When the anvil falls on his head, it feels like justice. It feels earned. But if Tom actually succeeded, if we watched him corner Jerry, saw the fear in Jerry's eyes, watched him raise his paw for the killing blow, we'd stop laughing. We'd stop watching. The entertainment would collapse into something dark and disturbing. So the writers built a system, a narrative machine, that guarantees Tom's defeat while making it feel like he had a chance. Every episode follows the same formula. 1. Tom sees Jerry. 2. Tom makes a plan. 3. The plan seems clever. 4. The plan fails. 5. Tom suffers consequences. 6. Reset for next episode. This isn't lazy writing. This is ritual. This is structure as philosophy. Each episode is a controlled experiment in failure, and we're the scientists watching the same hypothesis get disproven over and over again. The hypothesis? This time, Tom will win. The result? No, never, not ever. And here's what makes this psychologically fascinating. We keep watching anyway. Why? Because humans are addicted to the hope of resolution. We crave endings. We want closure. We want to see the hero succeed, the villain defeated, the story completed. Tom and Jerry denies us that satisfaction, deliberately, cruelly. Every episode is a setup without a payoff. Every plan is a promise that gets broken. Every moment of hope is a lie. And yet we return, week after week, year after year, decade after decade. Because somewhere in our brains, we still believe, maybe this time, maybe this episode is different. It never is. Now here's where this hits close to home, and I mean your home specifically. Think about the thing you're chasing right now. Not your job, not some abstract goal. The real thing. The creative project that keeps you up at night. The skill you're trying to master. The dream you keep telling yourself is almost there. How many times have you been almost there? How many times have you thought, this is it? This version works. This attempt is different. And how many times has reality slapped you back down? You're not failing because you're incompetent. You're failing because the game is designed this way. Success doesn't end the chase. It just moves the finish line. You finish one project and immediately there's another. You reach one milestone and suddenly it's not enough. The goalposts shift. The boulder rolls back. And the cruelest part, you need it to roll back. Because what happens when you actually make it? When you reach the top and there's nowhere left to climb, you've heard the story. The artist who finally gets famous and becomes depressed. The entrepreneur who sells their company and feels empty. The athlete who retires and loses their identity. They all learned what Tom would learn if he caught Jerry. Winning ends the story, and ending the story is a kind of death. So here's the question nobody wants to ask. What if the writers were right? What if perpetual defeat isn't a tragedy? It's protection. What if staying in the game even while losing is the only way to stay alive? What if Tom's failure is the only thing keeping him immortal, and your failure is the only thing keeping you you? Chapter 6. Strength and Smallness, the David and Goliath Paradox. Let's flip the script for a minute. We've been talking about Tom, about failure, about Sisyphus. But what about Jerry? Because Jerry isn't just surviving, Jerry is thriving. Jerry isn't just escaping, he's winning with style, with creativity, with a level of strategic genius that would make Sun Tzu jealous. Jerry is small, Jerry is vulnerable. Jerry should, by all natural laws, be dead 1,000 times over. Instead, he's untouchable. Why? The obvious answer is he's the protagonist, the hero, the underdog. We root for him because he's small and Tom is big, and we love seeing the little guy win. But that's not the full picture. There's something deeper happening here. Something that applies to every asymmetric conflict in history, from ancient battles to modern startups to personal struggles. Being small is a superpower, if you know how to use it. Let's break down Jerry's actual advantages. Size. Jerry can fit places Tom cannot. Mousehole escapes. Cracks in walls, spaces under doors. Jerry's smallness isn't a weakness, it's mobility. While Tom is constrained by his size, Jerry has an entire secondary geography to work with. Speed. Pound for pound, Jerry is faster. Not because mice are inherently quicker than cats, but because Jerry's survival depends on split-second reactions. Tom can afford to be slow, Jerry cannot. Creativity under pressure. Here's the big one. Jerry doesn't have the luxury of elaborate planning. He doesn't have time to build complex traps or study instruction manuals. He has to improvise, constantly. And improvisation, real, desperate, life or death improvisation, breeds innovation. When Tom builds a trap, he's working from a position of security. He has time. He has resources. He can afford to fail and try again tomorrow. When Jerry counters a trap, he's working from a position of terror. He has seconds. He has whatever's nearby. He gets one chance. And that asymmetry, that difference in stakes, forces Jerry to think in ways Tom never will. This is the David and Goliath paradox, and it plays out everywhere in human history. The American Revolution. A scrappy colonial militia defeats the most powerful empire on earth. How? By refusing to fight by the empire's rules. Guerrilla tactics, asymmetric warfare, using terrain, speed, and local knowledge against a larger, slower, more conventional force. Startup culture. Tiny companies with no resources compete against billion-dollar corporations. How? By being faster, more adaptable, more willing to break rules and try insane ideas because they have nothing to lose. Personal struggle. You, right now, competing against people with more money, more connections, more advantages. How do you win? By being hungrier, more creative, more willing to find the cracks in the system that bigger players don't even see. Jerry doesn't win because he's stronger than Tom. Jerry wins because he's been underestimated. Tom sees a mouse and thinks, prey, small, weak, easy. That assumption is Tom's fatal flaw. Jerry sees Tom and thinks, threat, dangerous, must outsmart or die. That awareness is Jerry's greatest weapon. When you're big, you fight with confidence. When you're small, you fight with necessity. And necessity is a far more powerful motivator than confidence. Tom has the luxury of arrogance. Jerry has the clarity of desperation. Tom can plan. Jerry must react. And in a chaotic, unpredictable world, our world, the real world, the ability to react, adapt, and improvise beats the ability to plan every single time. This is why revolutions succeed, why underdogs win championships, why David Stone hits Goliath's forehead. Not because the small are blessed, not because the universe favors the weak, but because being small forces you to be better. Jerry can't afford to be lazy, can't afford to be predictable, can't afford to rest on past victories. Every day is a new battle. Every encounter is life or death. That constant pressure, that relentless need to adapt, sharpens Jerry into something Tom can never become: unkillable. Not because Jerry is invincible, but because Jerry has learned to survive in a world designed to crush him. Tom lives in comfort, Jerry lives in war, and in the long run, the one who lives in war learns lessons the one in comfort never will. So here's the uncomfortable truth. Jerry isn't winning despite being small. Jerry is winning because he's small. The constraints aren't holding him back. They're shaping him into something Tom, with all his size and strength, can never defeat. The prey has become the predator, and Tom never saw it coming. Chapter 7. The Rebel's Reward, Camus's Answer. So we've established that Tom is Sisyphus. We've established that the game is rigged. We've established that Tom's defeat is written into the fabric of the universe he inhabits. Now comes the question that matters. So what? What are we supposed to do with this information? Accept defeat? Give up? Acknowledge that the boulder will always roll back down and just stop pushing? That's where most people get Camus wrong. They hear life is absurd and think it means life is pointless. They hear Sisyphus is condemned to eternal failure and think the lesson is despair. But Camus didn't write The Myth of Sisyphus to make you depressed. He wrote it to set you free. Because Camus looked at the absurd, the gap between what we want, meaning purpose, answers, and what the universe gives us, silence, indifference, chaos. And he said there are 3 ways to respond. 1, suicide, physical or philosophical. You can't handle the absurd, so you exit. You quit the game. 2, leap of faith. You invent meaning. You choose to believe in God, destiny, karma, some cosmic plan that makes it all make sense. You reject the absurd by pretending it doesn't exist. 3, revolt. You accept the absurd. You stare it in the face. And you push the boulder anyway. Camus chose revolt, and so does Tom. Every single episode, Tom revolts against his fate. He doesn't kill himself. He doesn't invent some religious justification for why he keeps failing. He doesn't need therapy or cosmic reassurance. He just keeps going. And that is the rebellion. That's the freedom. That's the answer. Camus wrote, "The struggle itself toward the heights is enough to fill a man's heart, not the victory, not reaching the top, not catching Jerry. The struggle, the effort, the refusal to quit even when quitting makes perfect sense. That's where meaning lives, not in the outcome, in the trying." Tom will never catch Jerry. But every time Tom builds a new trap, every time he dusts himself off after an explosion, every time he looks at Jerry with that determined gleam in his eye, he's saying something profound. I know I'll fail. I know the universe is against me. I know this is pointless, but I'm doing it anyway. That's not stupidity. That's not delusion. That's defiance. It's the most human thing you can do. Look at a world that offers you no guarantees, no justice, no fairness, and choose to try anyway. Think about your own life for a second. Really think about it. How much of what you do has a guaranteed payoff? How many of your efforts come with a promise of success? You go to work, maybe you'll get promoted, maybe you won't. You start a business, maybe it'll succeed, probably it won't. You create something, maybe people will care, maybe they'll ignore it. You reach out to someone, maybe they'll respond, maybe they'll ghost you. You don't have guarantees. You never did. The universe doesn't owe you anything. So why do you keep trying? Because the alternative, giving up, stopping, accepting defeat, feels like death. And maybe it is death. Not physical death, but the death of you. The thing that makes you you isn't your achievements. It's your efforts, your refusal to quit. Camus believed that once you truly accept the absurd, once you stop looking for cosmic justice or divine plans or guaranteed outcomes, you become free. Free from the pressure of needing to succeed. Free from the weight of expectations. Free from the crushing disappointment of failure, because failure was always the most likely outcome. The boulder was always going to roll back down. Once you accept that, you can start enjoying the push. Tom doesn't catch Jerry, but watch Tom's face in those moments before the trap springs. Watch the focus, the intensity, the hope. He's not thinking about the last 1,000 failures. He's not paralyzed by the knowledge that this probably won't work. He's alive in that moment, fully present, fully engaged. That's the reward, not success, engagement. Camus ends The Myth of Sisyphus with one of the most beautiful sentences in philosophy. One must imagine Sisyphus happy. Happy, not in spite of his punishment, not because he's delusional, but because he's found something the gods couldn't take away from him, his choice to keep pushing. The gods can control the boulder, they can control the mountain, they can control the outcome, but they can't control Sisyphus's attitude. They can't control his decision to find meaning in meaninglessness. They can't make him despair. Sisyphus wins by refusing to be broken, by finding joy in the struggle itself. And Tom does the same thing. Every episode, Tom loses. But every episode, Tom tries. And in that trying, in that relentless, absurd, beautiful refusal to give up, Tom finds something the universe can never take away. Purpose. Not the purpose of winning. The purpose of playing. The game is rigged. The outcome is predetermined. The boulder will always roll back down. But you know what? Push it anyway. Push it because the pushing is the point. Push it because giving up means letting the absurd win. Push it because in a universe that doesn't care whether you exist or not, choosing to exist, choosing to struggle, to try, to fail, and to try again is the ultimate act of rebellion. One must imagine Sisyphus happy. One must imagine Tom happy. One must imagine you happy, not when you win, but while you push. Chapter 8, The Friendship Beneath the Fight. But here's something we haven't talked about yet, something that complicates everything we've said so far. Tom and Jerry don't actually hate each other. I know that sounds insane. We've spent the last 5,000 words talking about eternal struggle, predator and prey, life and death stakes. But go back and watch certain episodes. Really watch them. The Truce Hurts, 1948. Tom, Jerry, and Spike sign a peace treaty. They agree to stop fighting. They shake hands. Well, pause. They become friends. They help each other. They share food. They genuinely seem happy. Until the treaty breaks, of course. Then it's back to chaos. Snowbody Loves Me, 1964. Tom is freezing outside in the snow. Jerry sees him. Jerry could leave him there, should leave him there, by all logic. Instead, Jerry brings Tom inside, warms him up, saves his life. Blue Cat Blues, 1956. Tom is heartbroken, suicidal, sitting on train tracks waiting to die. Jerry sits beside him, not mocking, not celebrating, just there, sharing the pain. There are dozens of these moments, episodes where the violence stops and something else emerges. Something that looks a lot like friendship, and it reveals the truth we've been dancing around this whole time. Tom and Jerry need each other, not in a philosophical, abstract way, in a real, tangible, emotional way. Tom doesn't just chase Jerry for food, he chases Jerry because Jerry gives him purpose. Without Jerry, Tom is just another house cat, lazy, forgotten, invisible. Jerry makes Tom matter, and Jerry doesn't just run from Tom, he taunts Tom. He could escape quietly, efficiently, safely. Instead, he sticks around. He teases, he escalates. He turns survival into performance. Because without Tom, Jerry is just another mouse. Small, insignificant, powerless. So where does all of this leave us? Tom is not stupid, Jerry is not cruel, and Tom and Jerry is not just a cartoon. It's a loop. A perfectly designed, endlessly repeating system where failure isn't a flaw. It's the fuel. Tom can't win because winning would end the story. Jerry can't disappear because disappearance would erase meaning. Their fight is their bond. Their failure is their continuation. Tom is Sisyphus with whiskers. Jerry is the boulder that never stays put. And we are the ones watching from the mountainside, seeing ourselves in every push. Camus said we must imagine Sisyphus happy, not because he succeeds, but because he chooses to keep going. Tom chooses the chase, Jerry chooses the escape, And together, they create something eternal, a story without an ending, a struggle without resolution, a reminder that meaning doesn't live at the finish line, it lives in the attempt. So the next time you see Tom draw up a plan, careful, clever, doomed, pause for a second. Because that moment, that fragile hope before it all goes wrong, that's not comedy, that's life. And somehow, we keep chasing anyway.